I was with Donnie and we were talking about a film. Donnie said, "Hey Tiger, I've got a big offer for someone to buy my likeness. The rights to his likeness for AI generated Donnie Yen in movies starring AI generated Donnie Yen." And he said, "What do you think about that?" And my answer was very quick. Donnie, as a friend, as a fan of yours, and as a human, I want to see Donnie the human doing things. I don't want to see the replica, the AI, right? So I think art, in many ways, is our last stand against the machines.
So, Tiger, for the people that don't know you, how would you define yourself? Because I've known you for like over 10 years, and your reputation precedes you, of course. I was over in China. I was producing some documentaries about celebrities that were coming to China, and Shiro was saying, "Oh, you got to work with Tiger. Tiger this, Tiger that." And I've known you as a filmmaker. So do you define yourself as a filmmaker or an entrepreneur? What is the enigma that we call Tiger Miller?
I think, people evolve over time, obviously, and they become interested in new things. So for me, I will always be a storyteller. Different cultures and different individuals think very differently and see things differently. In the end, there's like a common denominator, right? Which is the human experience. So we can all relate to one another's stories, but to dive into somebody else's skin and see the world through their kind of eyes is a beautiful thing. It's a really beautiful thing. That human connection is a beautiful thing. So that's why I love storytelling. I also got into films for the shallow reason of just doing the polar opposite thing that my parents did, which was tech. They're from the Web 2 world.
You've definitely taken like the path that the majority of people wouldn't take. Me too, right? We both ended up in China doing filmmaking, experiencing a completely different world. So I think there's an element of risk taking that you have. You're really good at like connecting with people. Like you have so many connections. Like your social network has a very far reach and of very influential people. So how did you sort of attract those people into your life?
I like to think that, simple rules in life are big things, right? Like do what you say what you think, express how you feel, be good to people until they're not good to you, and then move on, right? I mean, these are basic rules that matter. I grew up in so many different places, speaking so many different languages. I think culture kind of was ingrained at an early age. Different perspectives, different ways of thinking, different ways of doing things. Also, being an outcast, not fitting in anywhere, makes you kind of really explore who you are. Right? My mother's Chinese, my father's English, Irish, American, but then because of their tech business, headquartered in Silicon Valley, they had developers in China, sales in Japan. Then I moved to France, where I have family. So I grew up with a mixture of cultures, perspectives, and languages. The course of my career, I think, has evolved over the years from being just storytelling focused to back into the tech. Here's the full circle, right? You slowly become your parents, right? So as an angel investor, I see a lot of things that are happening in the tech world now, especially with ChatGPT and AI just really entering the fold in a big way, right? I mean, I feel like this world is basically, I think I tweeted about it the other day. There's going to be four different people moving forward, four different types of people. People who can integrate and embrace AI in their profession. And then we're going to have leaders, figureheads, athletes for the spectators, and we'll have artists for the human expression. Humans wanting to see humans. I want to see a human, so that human factor will continue as long as we live. Once the robots can do everything better than us, which is very soon, I think, will be replaced. They can already calculate and then physically probably do things better than us. And then the last three are purely sentimental, right? It's like we want to see ourselves instead of robots or AI generated images in movies, for example, right? I remember I was with Donnie and we were talking about a film. Donnie said, "Hey Tiger, I've got a big offer for someone to buy my likeness, the rights to his likeness for AI generated Donnie Yen in movies starring AI generated Donnie Yen." And he said, "What do you think about that?" And my answer was very quick. Donnie, as a friend, as a fan of yours, and as a human, I want to see Donnie the human doing things. I don't want to see the replica, the AI, right? So I think art, in many ways, is our last stand against the machines.
So you were a film producer. I know that you brought in Sesame Street to China. You were repping big influencers for China, some very big names. And now you've combined it with technology using a platform that would help independent filmmakers get their own ideas financed and also help influencers engage and empower them to utilize their own fan base.
You're talking about Bitflix.
So basically, that's one project, and it's about movies. It's about not just movies, but any narrative, right? It could be a series or a documentary, whatever the creator is trying to create. We want to be a part of original creative content. In the film business, it's very hard for independent creators to get projects off the ground. You know this, Tom. I mean, like coming out of college, when I went to UCLA, um, it's very hard to make it in the industry without network. You can't get money. Without money, you can't get celebrity to sell your film. So what I do is it should be a meritocracy where the best idea, most creative scripts get created. So to that end, we've created a platform that is a launch pad for creatives where they can submit their screenplays for their project, for example, and we will have AI generated NFT art collections for that project. So let's say um, the project is called Podcast Dubai. Now I want to create this project, and here's my concept. I create a video interview of myself, a short kind of blurb of what I'm trying to achieve, what the utilities are for my purchasers. It could be anything along the lines of executive movie producer credit for people who buy your NFT. It could be event access, the first red carpet, like premiere of your film. It could be gaming. It's not something that I recommend because it's hard to make a game for most people. But we have a game where they can also enter with their NFTs that we've created for our platform. So, long story short, you get different utilities for purchasing this NFT. The project creator can use the profits to produce and finance their project, right? So it's like a Kickstarter, Indiegogo for film
Right.
projects.
So if I had an idea for a film, like right now, I'm trying to I have my grandfather's army diary from World War II. And I'm like, wow, this would be a cool thing to turn to a film. But
Yeah,
I don't have, I mean, $10 million, $20 million, and you need funding in the beginning, right? You got to write a script, you got to package it. It just takes money to get things going. So if I have this idea and I go to you, I say, hey, Tiger, can you help me get some funding to turn this synopsis into a screenplay? Is that something that you could help me with, or people that are in a similar position to me?
absolutely, brother. That's exactly what we do. So the prereqs are it's original, it has to be yours. You have to own it, and it has to be commercially viable. To be honest, because we're not making poetry for ourselves, are we? I mean, we have to make something that we can out to the market, take profits on for everyone. I mean, this is more meaningful. This gives a project legs, so to speak, so it can be marketable and it can be successful, and then we can do more.
So is it similar to you taking, say, an equity stake in the project?
It's not an investment where the NFT purchaser sees returns on an investment, but it's a purchase of a utility NFT, right? Where they get access, like I mentioned, to the red carpet. They get movie credit or they get some type of exclusive content. And then the project creator uses the profits from the sales of those NFTs to fund their project. So that's kind of the game.
Sounds exciting, man. I know a lot of people that will be pretty interested in using that. So if somebody's watching and they think they have a great idea, how do they get in contact with you?
Very easy submission process. They need to submit a couple of things that prove the copyright is theirs. We need to understand we have the script so we can review it, make sure it's commercially viable, and we need to have their personal information. And ideally, make like a video of yourself, like explaining your project and utilities to the potential buyers and club members. And we also need to have, a visual, like a poster or some type of mock trailer or a teaser.
So you've got that project, and what's the other one? It was like an influencers engaging their fans. Can you break that down for me?
So Ethos is a launch pad for celebrity and influencer tokens and brands as well. And we help tokenize the influencer so that they can monetize their following, but then we also help the followers access them through events in Web3. So what does that mean? We've got Tom, a famous interviewer, actor from China. We've got the Tom coin, the Tom token.
I
And
like it already.
let's say I buy a Tom coin. I can now come to your event. That's my access pass. That's my ticket. Very simple application. Let's say I have 10 Tom coins. You have a total supply of 1,000, by the way. So I've got 10. That's a lot, right? That's 1%. Got 1% of your supply. I can now get bottle service and enter VIP +1. Right? I can bring my friend. And let's say I've got 100 Tom coins. Now 10%. I'm VIP. I can come backstage and meet you in person. And you would be willing to do this. Why? You're selling your tokens. So you need to create utilities for your fans. And this is something that was handled very inappropriately and irresponsibly, right? In the first iteration of NFTs when they came, for example, and hit the market. A lot of confusion around utility and what the real world, value was. So events are a great way for people to interact. Tokens are a great way for people to have access. And this could turn into even voting rights for what song you make next if you're a DJ, or what recipe I would like to learn from you if you're a celebrity chef, or you see this is endless.
So are you going to be targeting like big brands, like whatever, for example, Ferrari, Gucci, or fashion brands, or can anybody use this platform?
Anybody and everybody. A lot of brands are already entering the Web3 space, including a few of the brands you mentioned. So we can help with this process. We have the best launchpad partnered with us, and we also have, very strong crypto natives. So we bring that from the crypto world, and then from the event side, I have great partners who are producing events right now. We're going to do our kickoff event in Japan during Tokyo Blockchain Week, probably in June. The MZ Fund will also be behind us, full support. We have some great local partners, and we'll have singers, DJs, influencers of all walks of life joining the party. It's going to be a lot of fun, man.
Is this all going to be in the metaverse or be offline experience as well?
It'll be offline. So I believe in human interaction. We can do the metaverse play as well. We might not roll that out for the first event, but that's fun for people who cannot fly in physical form and be at the party. But I think it's important to interact, man. I really like social media as a double-edged sword. It's beautiful for some things. It's connected us in ways, but it's also disconnected us in ways, right? We don't communicate like we're talking right now. I mean, we're doing this through the phone. Well, I
It'd
still
be
see
different
you.
if we're in person. It'll be still even better, right? Because you still
Even
have
better,
that
100%.
barrier, that technology dividing us that we're trying to break through, but we're still managing to do it. But if we're in the same room, it'd be better.
Be able to touch you, hug you, give you a handshake, look deep into those blue eyes of yours.
It's all
I'm
resting
a
on
true
your
believer.
shoulders now, basically.
Yeah, I can't take credit for that, but a lot of my friends are much more influential than I am. And it's very encouraging when you see a bust in the economy or in a market like such as crypto, and then the people who are left are like doubling down. Like this really gets me going. This is what I love about films, right? It's like, what is filmmaking at its core essence? Filmmaking is solving problems. That's what switches me on. I get off on that. If a storm hits, we lose our lights, and we have no food, I get going. Like that's when I get going. And if you're able to survive and thrive in a in a storm, and you're able to pivot and innovate, you're going to do some really crazy stuff, man. you're going to build some shit that you wouldn't have even thought of like before that problem existed.
But I mean, even as a professional, how many times have you given up because the paperwork stack has been too high? And you're like, what, I got to do all that just to potentially get a meeting about funding? It's just discouraging, right? If you had an assistant to somehow process that for you and synthesize it into a easy digestible form and complete it for you after interacting with you, it would just reduce the barriers into filmmaking, into getting grants.
Films, look, right now, what are we seeing a lot of? We're seeing a lot of Marvel, which I love on occasion, but I mean, there's a lot of studios investing in what worked in this formulaic rehash of what came before, with a couple new things. And this is not super creative. You rarely see a piece of art that is commercially viable that teaches you something new about something. And this is what I'm, as I get older, looking for more and more. Like I like documentaries more now because I'm like soaking up knowledge, right? This is better time spent. Sometimes I need this fast action flick, but sometimes I want to learn something with the limited amount of free time that I have. So what I want to see is these independent creators get their projects funded and made. So that's what that platform is all about.
All right. Well, bro, it has been good to chat to you. Good to see you.
Thank you, Tom. Excellent talk. Miss you, brother.